You're keeping it here on NBS Television. It is still the breakfast meeting with me, Jackie Mwesigye, and we're still talking matters banking sector. Now, joining me in studio is the only development finance institution that we have in this country. This is the Uganda Development Bank, and joining me in studio is their chief economist, Dr. Francis Mwesigye, to tell us all about what a DFI is, what it does for economy, the projects that they're financing, and how you can benefit as a Ugandan here in Uganda. Very good morning to you, Dr. Francis. Lovely to have you in studio.
Thank you. Good morning, Jackie, and good morning, our dear viewers.
Dr. Francis, perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about your work with Uganda Development Bank.
Yes, like Jackie has indicated, I'm Dr. Francis Mwesigye. I work as a chief economist, but also director for economic research and knowledge management at the bank.
I see.
And at the bank, mainly, my role is to provide evidence to inform decision-making, to inform policy, but largely also to position the bank as a thought leader on socio-economic development issues in the country and beyond.
I see, absolutely. Now, we were just talking, we're both economists, by the way, and we were just talking about what development finance means to a country like ours. Yeah. But can you tell our audience what development finance institutions do?
Yeah, maybe to begin, I'll define development finance institutions, what they are, and probably what distinguishes them from the general commercial banks. DFIs, or development financial institutions, also known as development banks, are financial institutions which provide, we call it risk capital for socio-economic development projects on a non-commercial basis. The keywords here are development, risk capital, development projects, but on a non-commercial. And that's really what distinguishes them. So in other words, you'd be looking at three key attributes. One are the projects that you do support or businesses that you do support as a development finance institutions. Two is the nature of funding you provide, which should be characterized by affordability, but two, patience. So affordability is we expect development financial institutions really provide funding at affordable rates, but also for a longer period, because again, the aim here is to promote socio-economic development. So in that case, Uganda Development Finance Institution is the only national development finance institution which is mandated with the main goal of accelerating socio-economic development in the country through providing sustainable finance. And in that line, we really look at projects that exhibit potential to contribute to a number of socio-economic development indicators, such as employment or job creation, such as taxes, such as output value, and foreign exchange to the country. Because these are the key indicators that you really use to measure socio-economic development, among others.
Before we jump into the critical sectors that you fund as UDB, let's go back to DFIs and what they do. You mentioned non-commercial banks. Basically, you fund what commercial banks cannot. Why can commercial banks not fund the same projects that you do?
Yeah, I think when we were speaking, Jackie, about the keywords, one of them was risk capital. So if you come back to commercial banks, their main objective is profit maximization sometimes. Some have a development lens, and you would find them blending their products to achieve both. But for development financial institutions, their core goal and mandate is socio-economic development. And therefore, you would have to go to sectors that sometimes you are sure you will not make profits, but since you're targeting socio-economic development, you're still okay and satisfied. And therefore, if you look at some of the indicators that we look at as measures of success, I'll give one of the indicators. For commercial banks, you look at non-performing loans or NPLs. They will have a stringent and a very low target of, say, 5%. If you look at ADFI, this is the Association of Development Financial Institutions in Africa, for development financial institutions, theirs is 15%. That's 3 times. So meaning that, yes, you can allow to make some losses here and there as long as you achieve the goal of socio-economic development. And that's what distinguishes that you really go for riskier sectors, riskier businesses, startups and greenfields, because really what you're looking at is promoting or propelling socio-economic transformation.
Absolutely. And Dr. Francis, what are the critical sectors that you fund as UDF?
Yeah, so as a development finance institution in Uganda, we really look at sectors that are aligned with the government national development agenda as clearly spelled in National Development Plan 3. And accordingly, we support primary agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, and for us, these three subsectors account for about 80% of our investment portfolio. But in addition to these, we do support human capital development, under which we have education, we have health, and education, we mainly look at BTVETs or skilling. Just to be clear, and not really the mainstream, because again, we look at additionality, where there is a gap, but also where the demand that is not met with supply. So that's what we look at. In addition to this human capital, we look at, we support tourism. We also support infrastructure, including ICT.
I see. Is tourism a critical sector for development here? Oh
yes, it is, because it's a key contributor to our forex earnings. When you see central bank, really their monetary interventions is one, to manage inflation, but also to manage our exchange rates. So sectors that contribute to that, for example, exports, those that contribute to exports, but also those that contribute to bringing in forex are very key contributors, and tourism is one of them. And I was still speaking to the sectors that we do support, Jackie. Those, from where we stand, we look at achieving what we call 3 high impact goals that the bank have defined. Yeah. And these include promoting sustainable agri-food systems, promoting sustainable industrialization in Uganda, and developing a sustainable services sector. When I talk about sustainable agri-food systems, we look at all the activities end to end. You would say from hoe to fork, that is from production to consumption. So all the activities that happen along different nodes of agri-value chains. Some of these even include pre-production, what you do like sourcing the right inputs for production, fertilizer inputs and all that you need to enhance production and productivity. We got production practices like line clearing and so forth, post-harvest handling, aggregation and transportation. You got value addition and processing and distribution. As you might know, the government now, or high on the agenda, and what has been influencing some of the policy, the interventions like parish development model, is to bring the 39% of the population that is still in subsistence economy, really not contributing to the economy of Uganda, into that zone where they can make money. And you realize if you characterize these, majority of them are in agriculture. That means they're into subsistence farming. So this aim, the target here, or the goal of transforming agri-food systems is to really bring these people into the money economy, to produce and sell. And of course, when you produce and sell, you're able to take your children to school, you're able to do much more that contribute, yes, to you as an individual, as a household, but largely to the economy. On promoting sustainable industrialization, really what we look at here is to add value to what we produce as a country. Jackie, you'll agree with me that whenever you export raw products, you produce and just export, you're exporting jobs, you're exporting value, you're literally donating. Actually, our president calls it donating. You're just donating to those who can add value. He's given a number of examples like coffee. If you just export a bean and someone processes it and exports back to you, you pay like 5 times more than you earned. So we really look at sustainable industrialization, support those sectors that can add value to what we produce, and therefore create more jobs, create more taxes, and so forth. And largely services, you're asking about tourism. They are key sectors. Actually, if you look at the structure of our economy, services now is the biggest contributor to our GDP, about 45 to 47%. Agriculture, on the other side, contributes relatively less, actually the least, 24%, but employs the majority. So you have 68% of your working age population in agriculture. So when you talk about agri-food systems, is you want to unlock the potential of agriculture, which employs the majority. But when we talk about services, you want to, again, support this sector that contributes most to your economy. And then for industrialization, we are looking at, if you are to unlock agriculture, most of our industrialization is largely agri-based. So if you unlock industrialization, in a way you're unlocking agriculture, but also promoting what we call structural transformation.
Absolutely. Dr. Francis, I'm sold. So I want to ask you, imagine
Yes.
I am a farmer. I'm
Yes, Jackie.
trying to transition from subsistence farming to commercialize agriculture.
Yeah.
And I come to Uganda Development Bank looking for a loan.
Yeah.
What is the criteria for assessing the eligibility of myself to get a product from UDB?
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. Eligibility number one is the sector that you are in. So already you've said you're in primary agriculture. So that's key. You qualify because as long as you're in one of the sectors that I've mentioned, you qualify, you're eligible, in other words. You don't qualify, but you're eligible. Then we go through as other requirements. So one of the things you might realize that in the country, we have high informality. And one of the key goals of the bank is to formalize, promote formalization of our business, because it comes with a number of advantages, let alone the tax contribution, which has been one way that our business, our private sector looks at. But one, you have to be formal. So when you come in and you're informal, we will encourage you and support you to formalize, register your business. Again, we look at that because we want to look at the governance structure of your business. You're looking at sustainability. We look at that because we want to look at how you keep books of accounts and so forth. So if you are in the sector, we do support your formal. The other requirements are really things that we take you through and support you to really have in place for successful implementation of your business.
I see.
Yes.
Dr. Francis, as a development finance institution, you obviously offer more than just financial interventions.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about the product portfolio that you have at UDB?
Yes, you're right, Jackie. We offer more than finance, but broadly, we categorize our interventions as financial and non-financial. And under financial interventions, we have debt, call them loans, and equity. So equity is where we co-invest with the private player. So under debt, we also have sub-products. So, or loans. We could have asset financing. Say you are into processing and you want to buy machinery. So we categorize that as asset finance. And it comes with different kind of requirements and conditions. For example, you might not even struggle with collateral if the machinery you're going to buy can cover or can secure the loan that you're obtaining. So you will not be asked for land and other forms of security. We have what we call trade finance, letters of credit, and so forth. We have what we would come for term loans, under which you would also have working capital and so forth. And like where we started, these term loans have a long tenure of up to 15 years, depending on really what you're investing in. They have grace periods, and all these are actually all under debt or loans. On the other side, under financial interventions, we have equity. I've already talked about it. It's when we invest with a business, especially those that are starting, they have nice ideas with the potential to create socio-economic development in the country. So those we come in, support them, but as a policy, we have to divest within 10 years. And again, here the assumption is in 10 years, really, you would be resilient and able to run your business, would have handheld you through that phase. On the non-finance side, we have also a number of interventions. We have what we call BASE, Business Accelerator for Successful Enterprises. This literally means business advisory. So most of the private players are not well prepared to get funding from not only Uganda Development Bank, but also other financial institutions. And they're not prepared on a number of fronts. Some do not have books of accounts and don't know how to prepare books of accounts. If I might ask you, Jack, if you're doing some side business in farming, and I ask whether you keep books of whatever you produce, the workers that you employ, what you pay them, many do not keep that, including some of us that are here. And therefore, that affects your ability to get financing. Because when you go to a bank, there is what they call KYC, know your customer. So you get in there, and they want to know your creditworthiness. They ask you, how are your cash flows? How have been your incomes, maybe in the past 2 or 3 years? And you say, I don't know. You say, I make money, but I don't. I have nothing to show. What is your expenditure like? So many say, I'm not able to get the money I want because they can't know you and there is no basis for these to know you. So what we do through Business Advisor is we train these businesses how to prepare books of accounts. Management structure and governance of these businesses. Many are family owned, really it's run by whoever is at home. And this has significant implications on the health of this business. So under Business Advisor also we guide on how to better structure your business as really a separate entity with a clear governance structure, with clear books of accounts, such that when you walk to any financial institution, you're able to be assessed and supported. Now, in addition to that, to business advisory, the trainings that we offer, the incubation that we do offer, we also what we call project preparation function, which really also supports to prepare businesses. So a number of business people or private players show up, and you realize that their projects they want to invest in are huge. They need to do feasibility studies and other forms of preparations, but actually they have none and they don't know how to do it. So through our non-financial intervention, the function that we call business preparation unit or function, they take you through. They can actually support do a feasibility study for you so that you get to gauge to know where to invest and what to expect from that investment. So those are our extra non-financial interventions that we do offer in addition to the funding that we provide. Are
there any services, any significant services that you extend to Ugandans other than the ones that you've mentioned?
Oh yes, we do. So Jackie, so as a bank, we started with mainstream funding. So largely demand driven, you show up, tell us how you're operating, your idea, we assess it, and we support you. But over time, we realized that certain segments of Ugandans were not able to benefit from these services. And we started introducing a number of interventions. Last year, in 2022, we started implementing what we call special programs. Now, this is a specific designed, targeted program that is targeting SMEs or small businesses, that is targeting youth, that is targeting women. And these are people or businesses or units that would otherwise not be able to get funding from our mainstream financial institutions, but also our mainstream funding. Again, because of their nature, they are small, they don't have collateral, they are not prepared. I talked about preparation. So we started this program, special programs, to support them and aid them achieve financing. Number two, we have what we call climate financing. We have gone into the space because of the effects of climate change. We've gone into the space of green financing, irrigation, and preparing. I want to talk about the effects of climate change in the country. Lastly, I would speak to AgriConnect, the new program we started implementing this year, where we work through fintechs to avail financing to VSLs, farmers organized in village savings and loan associations at community level, among others.
Among others. Dr. Yes. Francis, I wanted to ask about your uptake, but perhaps in your closing remarks, you can let Ugandans know how they can get in touch with UDB and access the incredible services and products that you're offering.
Thank you, Jackie. I think we have a number of ways you can reach to us. One is through the website. Number two, so if you really go to the website, we have this eligibility criteria, the process that you have to follow. But two, you can come through. Just walk in to UDB, you'll find this team that will support you all through the process.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Francis. That was Dr. Francis Mwesigye, Chief Economist at the Uganda Development Bank, letting you know how you can access financing for your development projects so you can push Uganda to better heights. Speaking of pushing Uganda to better heights, we have our very own Canary Mugume standing by at the NCC, waiting to talk to us about Connect Uganda. Very good morning to you, Canary.
Very good morning.